Hey guys, I'm doing this totally unscripted, and maybe that's a mistake. If I look tired, that's because I am. Welcome to Bro Tunes, by the way. Yeah. Anyway, today I'm just gonna talk about something. So, the other day, I was talking with a coworker, and he was talking about how he loves video games, and one of his great pastimes is to just get home, take off his shoes, and get right back into the games. And it made me think about how I do play video games pretty regularly, but it's kind of just a one game that I'm playing. But I can recall back in the day, there's an era in your life, especially in my generation, where video games was everything. Now, I remember GameCube was everything for me for a while. I did start off with a 64, but I just remember like GameCube was kind of the newer game system at the time when I was around 10, which was kind of that real I'm getting into video games type of era, and it wasn't just video game; it was video games, and just I would be excited to get to see if anyone would get me a GameCube game for Christmas, stuff like that, and yeah, again, this is totally unscripted. Maybe that's a mistake. I don't know, but I was thinking about which games brought me joy when I was young. Now, if you saw the title, I maybe like some of you, man, I miss the Tonyhawk games. Those games were sick, and they were pretty popular when I was a kid. Now, I didn't grow up having all the Tonyhawk games, but I would go play at a friend's house, and for a while my babysitter had Tonyhawk Pro Skater 2, I remember. And I remember flying through the windows and finding the helicopters and grinding on top of it and whatever, and then falling off the skateboard and watching the blood fly out as a kid. It's pretty entertaining. Now, when I was a little older, I got my hands on Tony Hawk's American Wasteland. Now, to this day, that is still one of my all-time favorite video games. I can replay that over and over. It's probably still in my top 5, even though it's an older game. And looking back, the graphics are kind of bad, and it's kind of comical. But yeah, that game was just it's just one of those things that you kind of carry with you. I know it sounds super silly and cheesy, but I loved that game, Tony Hawk's American Wasteland. I love the idea that you can incorporate skateboarding, and with kind of skate punk culture, had kind of this unique edge to it, and you can incorporate it into an open world story. Now, I know a lot of people love the Pro Skater games, which were kind of a different style, where it was kind of very much skateboarding based and do your little missions and whatever. But I personally, I really enjoyed how they implemented interesting open world stories, and you get to incorporate skateboarding and trying to fulfill your missions that way, trying to do a trick. Now, I gotta say this, man. I really miss those games. I know I've said it already, but yeah, they try to come out with some Tony Hawk games in the later years. The last few games, let's admit, they sucked. Now, I never tried the ride games where you had the board that you stood on, and then you kind of just paddled and stuff. And apparently, it wasn't that great. And I wasn't prepared to spend a ton of money on the equipment. Now, after those two, because they made 2 of them, which people didn't really enjoy for the most part, they tried to reboot the Pro Skater title, if you will. And yeah, that one flopped too. Huge disappointment. But when I found out that they were making a new Tony Hawk game for the PlayStation 4, I was so excited. I was like, yes! Just remembering how much I enjoyed the Tony Hawk games when I was younger, and I was really looking forward to it. And then when they came out with that game, it was I saw all the reviews, and they were pretty negative, and I can see why, even with the gameplay. It seemed like it was an incomplete game, and if my memory serves me right, they didn't even have a proper Create-A-Skater, which was a huge deal for me. I loved the Create-A-Skater, and then you can unlock certain looks and everything. And I remember having a conversation with my friend, and he said, "This is probably it. The Tony Hawk games are dead." I'm like, wow, that's a pretty down view of that. And I'll be honest, the fact that he said that made me really sad. Because man, if it was a proper Tony Hawk game, I was full willing to pay full price for that game. Now I live in Canada, and a new game here, right now at this time, costs about close to $100 actually when it comes up with tax. So, but you know what? Again, if it was a full proper Tony Hawk game and the reviews were pretty good, I would have been willing to spend that money because I would have so much fun with the Tony Hawk games. Now, if anyone's listening out there, if Tony's listening to this, which, I mean, I'm sure he's a busy guy, you know, doing his skateboard tricks and whatever he does. But I think the Tony Hawk games were a solid game. Let's not forget how popular they were. I just loved the feel of the game with the skater edge to it. Had skate culture. I wasn't a super skater, but the Tony Hawk games actually inspired me to pick up skateboarding in my early teens, maybe between 12 to 15, and I never got any good. I had one of those wannabe Walmart boards, which it's not proper, let's just say that. So you could tell that the shape isn't how it's supposed to be, so you don't turn as cleanly as a regular board, and you can't do the tricks as good. I remember one time in high school, the skate park by my school was empty this day, and I'm happy it was because I was trying to do tricks and I totally wiped out, and I'm pretty sure nobody saw it. So yeah, but never got any good. But the Tony Hawk games got me outside because it was the Tony Hawk games that got me trying to skateboard. Now those games were solid, the Tony Hawk games, and they're just coming out with a title after title after title, year after year after year, and the games are doing pretty good. And here's the thing, this is the thing I'm trying to get at is, I really hope they don't give up on this franchise. Just like my friend was telling me that they probably did. I think if they stuck to the formula that made the game successful, I think that they can make the game successful again. And they can do sweet new updates with the new technology. The Create a Skater can be better than ever. If you've seen the new create modes in the wrestling games, they are impressive and awesome. The idea that you can potentially recreate yourself and throw yourself in the game as if you were doing these crazy stunts, man, that'd be so great. With new graphics, new playing modes, visual smooth animations, an online mode that works properly, man, they would be so great, and I would love that. Come on, give us a new one. Those are some of my favorite games as a kid. And again, Tony Hawk's American Wasteland was one of my favorite games as a kid. Just the idea that you can incorporate skating into an open world and have kind of that skate culture, and with the really neat soundtracks that went along with it. I think they can do that again, especially with the popularity of these open world games, and they can incorporate skateboarding and kind of bring the skateboarding culture back into video games. Who knows, maybe I'll end up going back out there and trying to skate again, but I'll have to get myself a real board this time. And I would be full willing to pay full price for that game. So whatever, I was just babbling about this just because I just felt like it. And yeah, so I think if, the video game makers, which company, who would take on the project, that if they looked back at the old formula, what made the old games popular, and just revamped it with some updates, I think they could come out with some solid games on the brand new consoles. And if they do, I'm looking forward to it, because I miss the heck out of those games. So yeah, I guess that's it. Oh, and before I leave, I see when people try to bring up this discussion, people are like, give us a new skate game instead. Like, guys, it's not the same game. It's just not. Like, it's two different things. Yes, Tony Hawk had a bit of an arcadey, over-the-top feel, and honestly, I love it. Like, in Tony Hawk American Wasteland, which was the one I had as a kid, you can fly out of the Hollywood sign if you go through a cave, and then you gotta do tricks while you're in the air, and then if you mess up, you totally wipe out, and then your blood goes all over the place, and then you could break your board over your head. Good times. Anyway, yeah, that's it. Oh, and since you're here, why not check out our channel? We do a lot of cartoons. We don't just do cartoons, but we do a lot of cartoons on here. And yeah, why not check us out? Please. If you ended up at this video, hey, thanks for watching. Thanks. Peace out.